I want to set the stage for you. All of this is coming out just 3 days before we thought we were going to have those once-in-a-lifetime Senate hearings with Judge Kavanaugh and his first accuser, Christine Blasey Ford, testifying about what she describes as an attempted rape when they were teenagers. The judge says the incident never even happened. But now that hearing and Kavanaugh's entire confirmation is up in the air after a second woman went public on Sunday. The report came out in The New Yorker just about 12 hours ago, and it includes allegations from 53-year-old Deborah Ramirez about an incident that she says happened when she and Kavanaugh were classmates at Yale in the 80s. We should warn you, there is some language here that you certainly could find unsuitable at this hour in the morning. According to The New Yorker, quote, Ramirez remembers Kavanaugh had exposed himself at a drunken dorm party, thrust his penis in her face, and caused her to touch it without her consent as she pushed him away. Quote, I remember a penis being in front of my face, she said. I knew that's not what I wanted, even in that state of mind. She remembers Kavanaugh standing to her right and laughing, pulling up his pants. Brett was laughing, she said. I can still see his face and his hips coming forward, like when you pull up your pants. However, this is very important. The magazine also says, quote, Ramirez acknowledged that there are significant gaps in her memories of that evening, and that if she ever presents her story to the FBI or members of the Senate, she will be inevitably pressed on her motivation for coming forward after so many years and questioned about her memory, given the fact that she was drinking at the party. In fact, quote, in her initial conversations with The New Yorker, Ramirez was reluctant to characterize Kavanaugh's role in the alleged incident with certainty. After 6 days of carefully assessing her memories and consulting with her attorney, Ramirez says she felt confident enough of her own recollections to come forward. It's complicated. Kavanaugh says the alleged event simply did not happen and says the allegations are a smear, plain and simple. The White House called it part of a coordinated smear campaign and blamed Democrats for trying to tear a good man down. So far, there is very little information to back up Ramirez's allegations. The New Yorker says it was unable to confirm with other eyewitnesses that Kavanaugh was actually at the party. Jean Mayer, who co-authored the story, told Morning Joe that the best she got was someone who says they heard what happened after the fact.
There's a very sober background source who was not part of the party, was not drunk, heard about it either that night, he thinks, or the next day. When I asked him myself, does he remember this and is he sure that Kavanaugh was the person he heard about in this? He said to me, I am 100% sure.
The New York Times says they had interviewed several dozen people over the last week in an attempt to corroborate the story and could find no one with firsthand knowledge. Ms. Ramirez herself contacted former Yale classmates asking if they recalled the incident and told some of them that she could not be certain Mr. Kavanaugh was the person who exposed himself. This morning, Kellyanne Conway appeared on CBS This Morning and said the whole thing feels like a conspiracy. Listen.
I know there's pent-up demand for women to get their day, women who have been sexually harassed and sexually assaulted, and I personally am very aggrieved for all of them. But are we going to put decades of pent-up demand for women to feel whole on one man's shoulders? What exactly is the standard for ruining one man's life based on decades of allegations that have nothing to do with him visiting upon other men, including in the media?
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.